Welcome to the G.N.A podcast, Games, Nerds, and Alcohol, where we take a little bit of a break because, you know, life happens and stuff. And then we jump back into this and we switch some things around. Like, I don't know, we just let it be super balls hot in here and we don't turn on ACs, and then we change days, and then we poop like 3 times today, and then we get offered onion rings and we say, no, we're not going to take onion rings because we're drinking heavily. And then we look up and we see Erin and Dee are here and we go, holy crap, we're talking too much. How you guys doing? How you doing, Erin?
I am doing fantastic now that I'm sitting here with a beer. I'm much happier. The room is warm, the beer is cold, so we're good. It's a fantastic day.
How about you, Dee? How you feeling, man?
Well, now I want some fucking onion rings. Now I'm fucking hungry again, damn it.
Love it. Love it. Well, I'm Cecil, your host. Let's kick right into this. We're just gonna full on peel out. I am drinking tonight. So what are we drinking? I am drinking tonight 2 separate things. 2 of them being rum, and then one of them is going to be a whiskey, and I'm going to sample both of them. So give me a second here, because this what am I drinking is going to take a little bit. I'm actually going to be drinking last night on Thoughts and Shots, because Thoughts and Shots needed a couple of people to jump in and help out watch a movie, which Happy Time Murders is what we watched. And oh my God, I have no clue what the hell we were watching. It was like, I did not need to be drunk. I drank, okay. You can see how much is in there? Add about 2 more shots to that. I've only put 2 shots in this drink because I put 2 shots of this and 2 shots of something else. But I drank that much last night trying to cope with that movie. And if you can't see, of course, this is a visual podcast. I don't know why anybody's thinking this, but the bottle's about 3/4 empty, more than 3/4 empty. And I drank almost all of that last night trying to cope with that movie, and I still could not figure it out. So it's probably one of the worst episodes of Thoughts and Shots. I apologize. It seems all the bad episodes are when I'm on them. So I'll apologize for that now. Devin, I hope you can forgive me because it was terrible. But anywho, I'm drinking this Flor de Cana 12-year-old rum. It's cool. It's got carbon neutral. It's been since 1890, blah, 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 blah. I tried it straight before and it was terrible straight. It had a very, very nasty sting and a really kind of crappy aftertaste. It was completely a mixing rum. Mixing it with some Diet Pepsi now, and just on its own with Diet Pepsi comes out with some really nice caramel hits. Not much else to it. All burn really goes away, or I'm just so much of an alcoholic I don't taste that anymore. So what I did tonight is I did the same thing, added in with some Diet Pepsi. But I added in a couple of shots of Kraken black roast coffee rum. So you really don't usually need that much of this to really give it a coffee flavor, but I'm actually really surprised because I think I did 2 shots of one and 1 shot of that. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio with a can of Pepsi. I get the caramel notes and the coffee hit. And it's a weird sandwich because the attack is almost all coffee. And then as it kind of washes around a little bit, I get all the caramel flavor. And then all of the finish is this coffee. You know, you get that coffee flavor on the side of your tongue like you've been chewing on grinds? It's the full finish is that. So it's like a caramel latte that fucks you up. Yeah.
I have a little bit of a confession. I have yet to try the Kraken rum.
Kraken or Kraken Black Roast?
Either. I haven't seen either near me.
Well, come on down, bud. Come visit me.
I need to.
Say hi.
I need to.
Take a long weekend.
Because I still have the whiskey I haven't tried yet, waiting for you.
Well, I got a bottle of 40-year-old here that if you don't get down here, it's going to be gone. And that was like a $4,000 bottle of whiskey I've been sitting on.
Dang.
Yeah, that's good. So
I got to look at my time off.
So my second one that I picked up. Now, this one I only picked up on a whim because my mother-in-law, I love her to death. Oh, crap. I just said that, didn't I? Okay. Well, she doesn't listen to the show. I'm fine. My mother-in-law showed me this, and
I don't think she would have heard you anyways.
Touche. Even if it was cranked all the way, she's deaf as a post. But it's Tullamore Dew. It's Irish whiskey. And I found when I was up there because last time I was actually I went up to my old stomping ground. She was having a retirement party. Actually, it was when we came up and visited you, Erin. It was a retirement party. So while I was up there, I brought her a couple of bottles of tequila. One of the bottles was pretty good. One of the bottles was pretty bad. But while I was up there, she had this bottle sitting on her cabinet. And the funny thing is, growing up, this woman never drank, like ever. And now she loves tequila. She has whiskey around her house. In a retirement party, she was actually gathering people together to do shots of Jim Beam honey. It's an amazing change to see, because it really, like, she was so hardcore, like, I've got to do everything I possibly can and I've got to be 100% all the time. It's really cool to see her let go. Anywho, she had this Tullamore Dew up there, and I was like, you know what? She's like, we have to try this whiskey. And she was saving it for us to try together. And I was like, oh my God, we got to try this whiskey. Well, we got drinking tequila, and we forgot to try the whiskey. My fault. Anywho, I found this, and I said, okay, we've got to try this together then. I'm going to pour up, you're going to pour up, and we're going to drink this over the phone, but we're still going to drink this together, because I found Tullamore Dew. So I'm actually going to drink some tonight, because the only one I had was when I was drinking it with her. So if you take it, if it's a really cool looking bottle, it's green and like beige, and it's got that, the only way I think of it is, you remember Erin from, or Orin, I guess, from Final Fantasy X? Do you remember that bottle of booze that he always had, and he drank it like this?
I most certainly do.
Like he always drank it like this, and he kind of picked it up and drank it like that. Like that's, and nobody can see it, but I have my two fingers on it, and it going around the back of my hand and resting on my forearm, and I'm using my forearm to lift it up to like tip it into my mouth. That's what the bottle looks like. If you Google that, that's the best way I can do. And it's really cool because the actual cork itself, it's a wooden stopper with a cork in it. So it's really cool. But I'm going to give this thing a quick pour into my snifter glass here.
It's round and easy to use, kind of like some of the alcohol they had in bottles for Drunken Master with Jackie Chan.
Drunken Master. That's exactly what it is. It's totally Drunken Master. So anyways,
we're going to kung fu and get seriously hurt.
I'm down. So, right off the nose, you get kind of I want to say like an oak barrel smell. Not the charred oak barrel part, but like just the oak barrel. So you know when you smell an oak barrel, but you're not sticking your head inside like you're shoving your head up a charcoal's ass, but you get that smell the outside of that oak, just like that oaky finish. That's the first thing right off the...
I do like the smell of oak, so yeah.
Yeah. And so it's there, but it does have a very strong, I hate to say it, but it's got like that turpentine attack of the nose, like when it goes up into the nostrils. So the initial attack is full on Irish whiskey. Like if you've had an Irish whiskey, if you've had Jameson or other, like it's got a very typical flavor that you're thinking you're going to get with whiskey. Little bit of a burn. The finish is very non-aggressive. It's honestly, I could probably drink this all night. Easy peasy. I would probably say, because of the burn, I would want to add either a single ice cube or maybe a couple of drops of water just to open it up a little bit, reduce that burn, maybe bring out some more of that flavor, because that oak flavor is there and it's gone as quickly as it's there. So I could drink this quite easily. The only unfortunate part, I wouldn't say that it was something that I would continuously drink, like I would go out and seek out and buy over and over again. However, simply because of the way the bottle looks and how easy it is to drink, I would probably have it as a staple on my shelf just to have.
Like a typical, have friends over, just easy sharing, not expensive,
exactly.
Just good, solid,
exactly.
whiskey to
I think it was about $40 or $50 a bottle. So it wasn't super expensive, but it wasn't like swill cheap. It's got a good flavor. It's got an aggressive attack on the nose. So yeah, it's a Tullamore Dew. I would recommend it if you just want a nice whiskey to drink. It's not It's not knocking your socks off. It's not bringing anything to the table that you haven't already drank before with whiskey. However, it's an easy drink to drink, and I think with a few drops of water, it would probably open it up significantly and make it extremely palatable. I haven't mixed this with anything yet, and I'm almost afraid that if I mixed it with anything, it would literally just lose all flavor. I've had a couple of rums this way, and I'm really just afraid it would lose all flavor. But that's enough of me going on, and I told you it was going to be a little longer segment for me. Sorry, because I'm doing 2 drinks. Well, 3 if you count all 3 bottles. On to you, Erin. I saw you pick up a beer. What are you drinking?
Gonna try to take the Cecil approach to my drink description tonight. Alright, so what I have here tonight for you folks at home, now I know you can't see it, but I'm gonna lift it up for the camera anyway. I have a Bud Light. It is what they call a tall boy.
Ooh.
So it's not the 8-ounce can. I know it's fancy.
It's fancy over there.
It has a beautiful presentation. The color is very nice. It's a very nice blue. Very pleasing to the eye. That's important in my beer, apparently. Right off the bat, when you sniff it, it almost has like a sweet smell to it. That's the first thing that you notice. The best way to serve these is chilled in your fridge. It's supposed to be very cold. The colder, the better. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good.
All right, so
I don't know how to describe the flavor. I want to do it the Cecil way.
When it first hits the palate, like what's the first thing that comes to mind when it hits your palate?
I know it's not like carbonated like soda, but like the bubbliness. Okay. Like as soon as it hits your tongue, you feel that like explosion of the bubbles. Just so when you have a nice cold soda, like and just that feeling by itself is nice.
That acidic flavor.
Like yeah. Like before you even really like taste what it is, like when anything carbonated or whatever, like as soon as it hits.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, D, what are you holding up for people who aren't watching the show?
So when we wanted to get into some of this taste testing, we want to be a little bit more, sophisticated with our drinks and our descriptions. So where we started getting words like phrases like the attack, and it actually came from I bought this Beer, Food, and Flavor, a guide to tasting, pairing, and the culture of craft beer. So we got that to we started off with beers, but of course it can apply to a lot of other alcohols. It's by Schuyler Schultz. It's a 2nd edition, and it really focuses on American craft beer, but it's great, way to learn how to describe, what you're looking for in taste and flavors. So it can give you good tips on how to basically critique, your favorite vintages.
Well, shit, I don't even have any favorite vintages yet. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of this homework stuff. I gotta buy books and shit now to describe my alcohol. Alright, so as far as the flavor goes, I'm really bad at describing the flavor of things. I probably honestly should buy that book or some book, because I'm terrible at describing what things taste like to other people.
Well, what's it remind you of?
It's rough for me.
That first hit, you described it perfectly. You said soda, that soda hit. So when you roll it around your mouth, so after that initial hit in your mouth, and you roll it around the mouth a little bit, what flavor do you get? What's the thing that comes to mind other than Bud Light? What's the...
Yeah, oh gosh, I don't know. I feel like I don't drink a lot, but I know that a lot of other people tell me it's very hoppy, but okay. I feel like for people that haven't had beer, they're not going to know what that means. If I say oh, this is a very hoppy beer.
So let's do this. Compared to other American lagers. So other American lagers would be regular Budweiser, Coors Light, Yinling, Devil's Backbone Lager. Comparing it to other American style lagers, where would you say it falls kind of in taste profile?
I think it's very similar to a Coors.
Okay.
If I drink, because I know everybody kind of lumps the cheap beers together. But in terms of what I like, at least, it's usually Bud Light or Coors, maybe Busch Light.
Erin, you like?
Oh, sounds like we're getting an assist from the background there.
Yeah, I was getting an assist. He said you like Pilsners. Oh. So I guess that's the flavor that I lean more towards.
Okay. It's the I can absolutely respect that. So, here's the thing. and this is something like, I don't know, maybe you're listening to this right now and you need to hear this, but when you say you put up the air quotes, cheaper beers, like, okay, when you take, I've had so many things that cost me, like monetarily, way less than what I felt I should get out of it. I've had so many things that would be classified as quote unquote cheap, and they have been absolutely 100% fantastic. So I don't think like Budweiser's, Bud Lights. Look, I drink a lot of beers, and I know that there are people here listening that drink a lot of beers, and I think there are people here that are listening that also share the same view I do of it doesn't matter how much it costs. It matters how much enjoyment you get out of it. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you right now to both you and D, as well as anybody listening. There is nothing better than a cold Bud or Bud Light in a warm shower after a long day. Like, I love craft beers. I love IPAs. I love getting down with stouts. I love all of those. Actually, I'll caveat that. A Guinness is pretty damn good too in a warm shower. But there's just something about American lagers that when, like, you've had a long day and it's hot out and you get into that shower and you just have that beer sitting there and just you're scrubbing down and you just reach out, you grab a hold of that bottle or can and you take a sip off it and you put it back. There's just nothing better.
Shower beer.
Dude, right?
Yeah, but also, I mean, with take, like, a perfect thing to, like, make your point right. Take wine, for instance, right? So they make all this big deal about wine tasting, and whenever you hear this professional wine taster, they always describe the expensive and, what these vintages, this has this full-bodied flavor of this and that. They go on and on and on. And then if they hear about a cheap wine, they're like, yeah, this is, a typical cheap, piece of crap. Well, in a blind study, they found that the cheap-ass Californian wines beat out everything else every fucking time. In a blind study, it was the cheap-ass California wines.
Two things. One, because I've talked about shower beer to people, and they're like, what are you talking about? What? No, you don't drink in the shower. Yes. And, like, I just did it one day because I had, like, a rough day of work. Like, it was hot as hell. It was when I worked at a greenhouse, so it was about 110 degrees in there that day. And I ended up working like 14 hours. So I get home and I'm like, oh my God, I just need to get in the shower. I'm disgusting, whatever. And I wanted something to drink. And I was like, I'm not going to bring a glass of water into the bathroom. Like, that's weird. So I had a can of Bud Light. So I pick up the can of Bud Light and I bring it in there and I get in the shower. And I kind of just left it on the shelf and forgot about it for like a couple minutes. So I'm scrubbing my hair. And then I was like, oh, I'm fucking thirsty. It's hot as hell in here. So I grabbed that beer and you just like cracked that bitch open, took like one sip, and I was like, oh my God. Like, the hot water hitting you and then just having that ice cold can in your hand is one of the best feelings on the planet. So for anybody that's like, oh, that's weird, just shut up and try it, because it is a wonderful feeling.
Go out.
It's amazing.
Go out and work outside for like 8 hours and then drink summer and then get into that shower, crack that beer, and tell me it is not the best beer you have ever had in your entire life. I do not care. And
absolutely, your friend there is right, Erin, that say if you like the American type lagers, Budweiser, if you ever go to Germany, a Pilsner would be what you would want to drink.
100%.
It would be the closest thing to that. And yeah, Pilsners is a lot of times what they serve at a lot of fests and the big mugs, so.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like,
I want to have a... I was going to say, like, I see, like, on TV or whatever, like, when people go to these festivals, like, Oktoberfest or Beer Fest or whatever, like, they always have these giant mugs, and I have a humongous beer stein, like, taller than my head, and I have never drank anything out of it. But I just want one time to go to a party and just have this massive, like, mug for no reason.
You probably don't want to drink out of the beer stein.
Yeah.
Most beer steins are supposed to be more like decorational. I mean, you can get reusable ones, but a lot of them contain either pewter or lead, so you want to be careful. So a lot of the old ones especially have a lot of pewter or lead, so...
I have like his, like that one is what I have.
You're not talking about...
It's like a giant glass.
Oh, you're talking about like the big German beer mugs, like the big beer glasses, not like the actual beer stein.
Not like, the decorative beer steins.
The best way I can describe it is
hold on a sec.
Like in Lord of the Rings or whatever, when they're all drinking, like you see like all the dwarves and they're drinking out of ginormous glasses that are just obnoxious. Like that is what I just want to do that once with a group of people.
Most people.
So I'm talking like I was talking about like the fancy ones, like this one with the lid, all the design work, and this one's ceramic, but like some of the older ones had lead and everything else. So I was more referring to this one.
A lot of times there's a segregation of people who define steins. So most people will say a stein, and when they're talking about a stein, they're talking about this big gargantuan glass, which is roughly about 32 ounces. So, but steins were very decorative and ornate. Like, not this mason jar that I'm actually drinking out of. Like, that's not a stein.
But man, the German glasses, like for the beer mugs you get at fests, like all the beer mugs, like big ones that you get, in the clubs. That's thick. That's good glass. That's damn near unbreakable. I've seen literally them getting thrown down in anger, bounce off the concrete, and do nothing. I've seen people knocked out with the damn things, and the mug was still fine.
Well, that's actually why I got this one. Did you see this one? It's a 32 ouncer, and this is like hardcore thick ass glass. Like this isn't I'm messing like I'm trying to be joking at glass. That's the whole reason I got this thing, because I looked at it, I'm like, that's actually a pretty badass glass. That, and they served me a huge beer in a freezer.
The ones that I had when I was still in Germany, they're actually thicker than that.
I can believe it. Yeah, good glass work, man. Good glass work's hard to find. But yeah, so like American lagers, like, it's all about enjoyment level, and I don't, if you're too hoity-toity that a Bud Light is well below what you're going to drink, well, you know what? You're probably listening to the wrong show, because we accept and love everybody here, and I'm telling you, there are definitely times where I'm like, I just want a Bud. I just want like a nice, easy American drinking lager, because they're easy to drink. Like, it's like going to Applebee's. You know what you're getting when you go to Applebee's. Like, when you order a burger at Applebee's, it doesn't matter whether you're in Seattle or you're in Washington, D.C., you know what burger you're going to get. When you get
So basically, we welcome basic bitches.
Everybody drink, said basic. Fuck. No, but like, I mean, you can still do the whole description. You can do everything with Bud Light that you can with, I don't care, with everything, with Tullamore Dew. Like, you can do all of it with it. But what do you got?
Sorry, no, I was going to say, because he also brought up wines. So, like, I had tried a couple wines, and people were like, oh, this one costs, like, I don't even know how much money, but, like, whatever amount of money. And then I drank it, and I just didn't like it. I'm like, okay, maybe I just don't like wine. But, like, they're like, everybody likes wine. Like, you gotta like some kind of wine, and I couldn't find one. The wines that I've enjoyed the most, there's two of them. There's one, it's called Boone's Farm, and they're super cheap. I think it's like $6 or $8 a bottle.
Boone's Farm, yeah, baby.
And they're so fruity and delicious. They're extremely sweet, no dryness at all. Like, amazing. And then the other one it's called a Roscato. Not Moscato, Roscato. And it's like a fake red wine. Like, it's supposed to be, it's like it's a white wine, but they kept the skin on the grape, so it's got like the red tint. But it doesn't taste like a red, and it's not a dry wine at all.
Well, like a blush.
Like, that's fucking it's sweet and it's delicious. It's like juice.
I like sweet wines too. My favorite wine, the best wine I ever had, was actually when I was stationed in Germany. There was this mom and pop like little wine and alcohol store, and I found this like it's like pretty much like kind of like homemade. They bottled it. It was like a small plant. And it was these fruit wines, and I found one that it was a strawberry wine. And when you drink it, it still had chunks of strawberry.
Dude, I desperately tried not to sing the song.
I've been back to Darmstadt. I've been back to Darmstadt, and I could not find the place. I think it went under years ago, and I'm just so sad because I wanted a bottle of that strawberry wine so bad last time I was there.
I can only think of the strawberry wine song. And I know no other lyrics other than the part where she sings strawberry wine, and it makes me want to sing it so bad. It's horrible.
I think all of us are in the same boat.
Right? So like wines, I honestly, I'm not a huge fan of wines. However, I have forced myself to try multiple different wines. I'll drink Pinots. Pinots are okay. They're a little bit too winey flavored for me. And I say winey flavored, like that dry, kind of bittery, meh flavor. What I've really found that I really, really enjoy are ice wines. And they're wines that are created from the grapes just before the first frost or just after the first frost or some shit like that.
I thought it was just after the first frost, but before the next.
Before they like die, basically. So they get really sweet. So basically, what happens is the first frost happens, and the plant goes, "Oh shit! Bring as much energy as possible to those grapes. We've got to get them out there. We've got to get new seeds out there as quickly as possible." And it puts all this energy into the grapes, and it makes them very sweet. And you get a very sweet wine when it comes to an ice wine. If you haven't tried an ice wine, especially because the sweet grapes attract a lot of animals to eat it, pass the seeds out, and create new plants. So yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, so ice wines, I really, really enjoy ice wines. In fact, I can only think of one ice wine I didn't like. But ice wines, I really, really enjoy. In fact, I tried my first ice wine over at Chris Roselle's house. He was doing a UFC, like he was doing a spaghetti dinner, and I showed up, and he was doing like he was doing a homemade spaghetti dinner. We'd sit there and we'd eat spaghetti and red sauce and watch UFC. And he had this ice wine there. It was funny because when I showed up, like he wasn't giving ice wine out to everybody. It's actually his mom. They weren't giving ice wine out to everybody. I showed up a little bit early and they're like, "Hey, we're drinking this, whatever it is." And I'm like, "I'm not really a wine person." And they're like, "Well, give it a try. If you'd like to, give it a try and see if you like it, because this is a lot different than any other wine you've probably ever had." I said, "All right, I'll give it a shot." So I tried it and I'm like, "Oh man, this is fantastic." I drank like 2 bottles of the stuff on them. Like it was that good. And I don't drink wine. And it was so good, so sweet, so smooth. And I just loved it. So the sweeter wines I really like. And I've really jumped into I don't know if they're Riscatos, but they're like the fruitier wines. There's like an apple wine and a peach wine. And I think they're like Barefoot, or it might even be Boone's Farm. I don't even know. But I guess my palate for wine isn't as sophisticated as it is for other boozes. So I'm really easy when it comes to wine.
Me, if it's sweet, it's like yum. I got that sweet tooth, so it's like, oh, sweet wine. Of course, but Cecil knows my draw to like wines, champagnes, rum.
Oh yeah, I remember your draw to champagne, where my parents are literally like, "Hey, help yourself to a glass of champagne or glass of wine," and you're sitting there pouring glass after glass. Dude, you were so schnookered that night.
Well, you see, they said help yourself to some, some champagne or wine, but they didn't define the size of the container. They came up to you
and said, "Would you like a glass of wine?" And you said, No, I'm okay." And they went, "Well, help yourself." And by definition, they meant help yourself to a glass of wine.
Well, that was left out of the second statement. Therefore, my very limited logical brain said,
your Neanderthal brain said, "Drink as much wine as I can." And that's probably why they were sitting there going, "Why are there 4 bottles of wine gone? We didn't drink that much." This guy right here sits there.
You guys
kept pouring wine. And then we get finally to the ball, because it was New Year's Eve. So the ball drops and I'm sitting there and they pour champagne. I'm not a champagne person at all. I've drank champagne on very few occasions, and every single time I haven't liked it. So champagne rolls around. My parents pour us all a glass. We're all, yay, cheering because the ball dropped. And I tried the champagne. I'm like, oh man, I don't like that. So I look over at D figuring, well, he pounded his. So I'm like, oh, well, he obviously likes it. So I pour my glass into his. And then as I pour my glass into his, I look over and I see his eyes completely glazed over. Like they are so watery. I probably could have just poured the wine or the champagne into his eyes to dry them out. And I looked at him and I went, "You're drunk." And he went, "Yep." And I went, "How much wine have you had?" And he's like, "I don't know, 4 or 5 glasses." I'm like, "Dude, You were supposed to have like one glass. He's like, no, they said help myself to a glass.
Meanwhile, bottles are gone, and my eyes are looking like the eyes of that alcoholic from the alcoholic master from Drunken Master. Sitting there all like,
it was impressive. I'll just say that it was impressive. It was hilarious. But yeah, so he definitely likes champagne. No, I'm definitely with you, Erin, on the sweeter wines. Like, we've got a couple of sweet wines in here, and I think they're by Barefoot, and there's like an apple wine and a peach wine. A peach wine I like, but I think I like the apple wine more. But the one thing I would say to try, if you like sweeter wines, have you ever had a port?
I don't think so.
So I would say try a port. Where I'd suggest to try it first would be like a Sandyman, or Sandyman. They make it's a very sweet port. It's very non-aggressive, very easy to drink. It's red, and I'm not a big fan of reds, but I found that I like some ports, not all of them, but I found some ports that I enjoy. And ports are sweeter dessert wines. So they're really meant to be paired with like chocolate cake and, other desserts, cheesecakes. Well, maybe not. Oh, I guess they would pair fine with a cheesecake. Maybe a carrot cake. Oh, damn. Actually, that would be fucking boss. Sorry.
I do like a good carrot cake.
Okay,
they are pretty delicious.
Mother's Day just went by. And my mother-in-law reached out to me and was like, hey, what should we get? What should I get Lex for Mother's Day? And I'm like, I honestly don't know. Because we kind of like, we're at the point now where we're like, look, we can go out and get gifts for each other, but then we're just trying to one-up each other. So let's just not go crazy on gifts. So, my mother-in-law had suggested, well, why don't you make her a carrot cake? I've got this easy carrot cake recipe. Why don't you just make it? I am not a baker. I can cook. I love cooking. I love the whole concept of cooking. Cooking is like a science to me. But baking is like, what's the best way to describe baking? Baking is like sending a rocket into space. You do all the calculations and you get everything exact beforehand, and you hope that at the end you end up with a workable product. You hope you end up with a rocket in space and not something that blew up in the atmosphere.
I actually in school had a chemistry teacher, and I was terrible at chemistry or whatever. So like I had to spend like a lot of extra time, like my study halls and stuff, going up to her classroom for her to teach me chemistry. And I was talking about it, and I was like, what are the real world applications of this? Like, when the fuck am I ever going to need to know chemistry? And she's like, well, just so you know, that a lot of people who are really good at sciences, whether they're, stuff that's like very equation heavy, like chemistry specifically, those people are attracted to baking because of the exact science of it.
Yes.
Like, you're exactly right. It's exactly like that. She was like, yeah, basically everybody that I went to college with who was going to become some type of chemist were all into baking, but terrible at other cooking because they needed like that very specific, like you add exactly this much or the shit burns and turns into, molten lava in the oven.
That's
like exactly
that's
like
where
that.
It gets really funny because everything I try to bake, I end up being fairly good at. Like, okay, my wife cannot make brownies to save her life. And it's literally like probably the simplest thing to make in the world, like brownies. Whether it be box or from scratch. It's the fucking simplest thing to make in the world. My wife cannot cook them. She will burn them every single time. I don't consider myself a baker. However, I know that I make some pretty mean-ass blondies. So, like, if you're sitting there going, wow, you can't bake, but you can make blondies, maybe that qualifies me as a baker. I don't know. I find it... Let me...
I'm going to stop you right there, Cecil. I'm going to stop you right there. You make some fantastic ass fucking homemade bread, man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you make some fantastic
bread. I do make
bread.
good bread.
I love the homemade bread.
Good bread, actually.
You make a good bread.
Okay, so let me rephrase it then. I find cooking more fun than baking. Because with baking, it's like, it's exactly that. Like, you don't know what your end product is going to be until you get to your end product. With cooking, like, you're tasting it all the way through and you're like, oh, well, this needs more salt. Oh, this needs more pepper. All right, I've dialed it in perfectly. I just got to keep heat to this and it's going to turn out great. But with baking, it's not like you're sitting there going, all right, let me sample the batter. Oh no, I need to put in some more flour. Ah, geez, you know what? I think I messed up. I got to add more baking soda.
There is one part of baking, so I'm generally speaking, with you because I'm not good at like the super fucking sciencey specific part of baking. But where baking blows away regular cooking is if you're doing something that you can like design. You know what I mean? Like you can get your piping shit and like put really dope ass designs on a cake or some cupcakes or something. Or I've even done it to brownies because I don't care. I do what I want. That shit when you put a design on something and it looks fire, and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, that feeling is way better to me than cooking something that looks really good. Because I'm like, I drew this on a cake.
Well, like that for me. So like drawing and stuff, I haven't dedicated the time and practice to being a good drawing person. However, when I cook, that's why I love cooking, because when I cook, I can plate something, sprinkle a little like parsley on there, spread some cheese out, spread the sauce and like some crescents around the edge, and it looks awesome. Like it looks really good. And when I put that in front of somebody, they're like, holy shit, this, like, you can do so many little, like, okay, you can cook a steak, put it on top of a little thing of mashed potatoes and stick like a fried potato wedge sticking out of the mashed potatoes, and then take the juice from the steak and make like a little like roux kind of, not a roux, but like a little gravy kind of thing out of it, and spread it just around the edge of the plate. And then when they take a bite of the steak, the potatoes, and they get that roux in, or not, I keep calling it a roux. It's not a roux. I'm not doing a cream sauce. I'm fucking drunk. Don't judge me. But you get that gravy in there with it, and you get this flavor with the like, and I use a lot of garlic when I cook because I fucking love garlic. I don't know. I'm Italian. I love garlic. Garlic goes in everything.
That's a secret to staying healthy.
Is that it? I thought masturbating a lot was.
Well, remember how my dad's next to immortal and he doesn't die?
Yeah.
He always told me the secret was he always eats garlic, and that's the Italian side.
Yeah, so like I'm Italian, like I'm half Italian, and
same here. Except I'm half German and half Italian.
I'm half English, half Italian, so that's where that goes. But when I say half English, half Italian, did you do the ancestry thing?
No,
dude, you totally got to do it because it's really enlightening to find out like where exactly it falls out to. You remember how I always used to say I'm Anglo-Saxon with a dash of Viking?
Yes, I think you're mostly Viking?
So it's actually 7% to be exact. I'm 7% Norwegian, I think. And it turns out that 7% is really fucking dominant when you look at me, because you're like, holy shit, you're really big. Like, that's this guy.
6'6" and blonde.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
like,
damn it, it's a Viking.
Like, where did that come from? Oh, I see where it is now. I told you about that when I was at the comic store, right? So, okay.
Yep.
So I used to get comics at this little place called Excellent Adventures in Ballston Spa, New York. In fact, shout out to Excellent Adventures. If you're looking for some great guys, Matt, and his brother are fantastic. Like, they are on the ball. You say you want something, or you say you're interested in something, they will not only pull the comics for you, make you a box, they will also say, hey, you know what? I found this. It kind of looks like something you'd be interested in. Check it out. If you dig it, I'll keep pulling it. If not, I'll stop. And like 99 out of 100 times, whatever they pulled is something that you're actually interested in. But I went there the one time, and I pulled up, I grabbed my box of comics, and I was sitting there, and they're like, hey, I found this. Let me know if you like it. And they were cool. Like, they were totally cool. They let me sit there and read the comic in the shop to see if I liked it. And I sat there and I was reading it. And as I'm sitting there, I just kind of like, there's the counter, it's like, it was a short, skinny, like store. So it was a really small space, but it was long, if that makes any sense. So I'm sitting there, and I kind of I was at the end, and I just like leaned off to the side, and I start reading the comic to see if I like it. I got about halfway through, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm interested in this. It looks pretty good. Well, while I was reading it, because I'm kind of a slow reader, this guy walks in, and he's probably, I don't know, he's maybe like 5'6", maybe 5'7" max. And he walks in, and he like walks up to Matt, and he's like, really coy, and he's just, grabbing some comics, and he throws them on the counter, and he's grabbing his money. So I walk up, and not like trying to like butt my way in. I just kind of put the comic next to him, and I just said, "Hey, Matt, I'm going to grab that." And I like was ready to go jump and get in line. And the guy turns, because all of a sudden, like, there I am talking, and he turns all the way over to look at me. And then he proceeds to look up. And as he's looking up, like, he's doing a long look up because he's 5'6", and he's looking up at me, and he's like right at my chest. Like, he's less than a foot away from me. Like, cause he kind of turned and made a half step, and he's like right there at me, and he's looking up, and he goes, "Who are you?" And I went, "I'm Cecil." And he goes, "What are you?" And I went, Anglo-Saxon with a dash of Viking. And like this bewildered look on his face, he goes, "I can tell." Just like, okay. Because I had my hair down too, so my hair was like across my chest and hanging down. So like I like had the full on Norwegian like blonde Viking guy look, and I'm just like, all right.
I mean, not for nothing. I mean, a 5'6" guy would be looking up to me too, and I'm not a big guy.
Well, yeah, like he was a shorter guy. Like it wasn't like he was a super tall guy. I think like,
but it's great. It's great to have the short guys with the really tall guys because they're like, oh.
Well, like it was the instant in his face. It almost looked like he just was begging, going, "Please don't say fee fi fo fum." It's just like what my brain was calculating in my head.
I could use some bread right now.
Yeah, I could. I could use some bread.
And grind some bones to make my bread.
But yeah, excellent adventures, great guys. Like I would totally go back there. But if you haven't done the ancestral thing, it's like super easy. You just go out and get a kit, and if you like Mother's Day, Father's Day, you can usually get a discount on them, and they're really not that expensive. But it literally is just like you sit there, you don't eat or drink anything for a few hours, and then you just spit into this vial. And then you send it to them, and they give you a whole breakdown of everything. Like, it's actually funny because my grandfather came from Sicily. Like, his family came from Sicily. And my grandmother's family came from Talyaguts. Well, like most men in my family, we embrace wherever, our significant other comes from. So my grandfather never talked about being from Sicily. He always talked about Talyaguts because that's where my grandmother was from. And it was really funny because I knew he was from Sicily because one time, like forever ago, it was a school project, and I had to interview him about where he came from and all that jazz. And he said that his family grew up in Sicily. And it was just one of those, like anecdotal, I didn't know that. And then when I got my stuff back, it said like I had so much percentage from Sicily or from around Sicily, and then so much from, and Sicily, I believe, is southern Italy, and Talyaguts is northern Italy. So it was really funny because it's like, you have so much percentage here in southern Italy. And I'm like, well, that's right around Sicily. And then like, and you have so much here around northern Italy. And I'm like, well, that's Talyaguts. And it was just really funny to see that breakdown of it. I'm like, holy shit, like, that's literally where I'm from. I mean, I could have told you that just by talking to me, but it gave me a breakdown of like, this is where you're from. And then the English
I'm almost
side,
slightly worried though.
Why is that?
I'm almost slightly worried though if I do the spit thing, send it in, instead of my results, I get the Men in Black showing up to my door like, "The fuck are you?" I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, we've identified about 15% of your DNA as not being from or non-terrestrial. And then you just look at me and go, "I was in the military." Like, oh, fine, easy enough. Have a great day, sir. And they walk away. All of a sudden, you see this flash of light, and you're like, "What the hell was that?" And I'm like, normally this works on people. Like, there's only about a 0.5% that it doesn't work on. Works on what? Hold on. Then you see people bring out a freaking rubber boot. And the flash doesn't work. The boot will. Oh, well, D, did we even get to what you're drinking?
Not yet, actually.
All right, dude, come on, man. Like, I've been sitting here. I am very drunk, by the way. D, so what are you drinking, man?
Well, I started pre-graining with the Mighty Swell, the blackberry spike seltzers. I started pre-graining with those, but I decided I didn't want to use them up on the wife because she loves them.
Okay.
So she doesn't like these ones, which is a different flavor of them, but I do seem to like it. It's the Mighty Swell Watermelon Mint Spiked Seltzer.
Whoa, back up. Did you just say watermelon mint?
Yes.
Okay. I need a full and detailed explanation of how that tastes, because my first reaction was to throw up in my mouth a little.
It's actually not bad at all. I mean, she doesn't like it, but I'm actually not bad. I mean, it's not like something I want to go out and get. I'd prefer to get the blackberry ones, but on the attack, right?
Not bad is not good.
Well, I mean, it's actually pretty good, but I mean, on the attack, right? You can taste the sweetness of the watermelon, like hit the watermelon, but it's almost like the watermelon and the mint are kind of battling for supremacy. So you kind of notice both, and it's almost hard to separate them at times. And then you're like, oh, there's the sweetness of the watermelon, and afterwards you're kind of left with an aftertaste of the mint.
Okay.
But it's not like strong mint, it's like a light mint. So it's nothing is too strong.
So comparative to like a piece of gum, like the mint that you get out of like a spearmint or a peppermint gum. Compare it to that
strong. It's like if you'd been chewing it for a while. It's not that strong. Like the first, biting and chewing. It's more like it's been there for a little while. It's more of a subdued.
Okay.
The watermelon isn't it's a little bit more leaning towards, not as much towards real watermelon versus kind of candy flavored watermelon, but it's not there yet. It's kind of in between.
Okay. So
at first I thought, oh, this is kind of a more chemically or candy flavor. And then I'm like, oh no, it's the mint. It's the mint. Because then I read, I was like, oh, it's watermelon with mint. But, so it's actually pretty good. But it's kind of an odd taste, but it's actually good.
Interesting.
So it's like, I like it. The wife doesn't, kind of hit or miss. However, the blackberries I'm drinking, like everybody likes.
Interesting.
But it's a very summer refreshing. Like if it's hot, it's a very kind of like the mint and watermelon is a very refreshing, like summer drink. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I can pound these and feel fine. Like like if I get overheated, I gotta drink some water. And if I eat a meal, I don't like to drink alcohol in my meals for some reason. I'll sit down and be like, just pound one of these seltzers and be like, refreshing.
Interesting.
So they're pretty easy to drink. They're only 5% alcohol, so they're really like good for like say a hot day. It's kind of summer and you just want something light. That's what these are really good for. And I'm kind of digging them. I haven't had a chance to go to the liquor store and with all the overtime I'm working, really get something like a good whiskey or rum to taste test. And I'm saving the really good whiskey that's hard to get for when we get together. So I've been just grabbing these on like at the grocery store has this whole kind of craft beer and a little section of the store on the whole side of the grocery store. You can get anything from like little craft beers to these things, and we've been really enjoying them lately. Sitting outside with some of these, so I'd recommend the Mighty Swell, the spiked seltzers. They're pretty good. Like I said, I like the watermelon mint, but it's not for everybody. But the blackberries for certain, you're pretty close to like it, especially if you like something that's sweet but not too sweet.
I'll take it. All right. So, now that we've been recording for, I don't know what, like 4 hours now, State of Games. State of Games is where we talk about what we've been playing for the past week, or we just pontificate about, I don't fucking care, like what we feel games are today. So, I went first last time. I'm going to back this up. And D, what is your State of Games, man?
Well, I've been, playing some old school with the kids, as soon as I can, all the chances I get. I've been playing around with some Kid Icarus, some Final Fantasy, the original. I've been doing the pixel remasters on the PC.
I love Kid Icarus, man. Like you just touched on a very like near and dear. That's one of the first games I can remember playing as a kid, Kid Icarus. Like that's one of like, it's not the first game I played, but when I think of gaming as a kid, that's the game I think of playing as a kid.
However, I've only been playing a little bit of the NES version. The one that I've been playing more of has been the Famicom Disk System original version, and that one you can actually save it and come back later.
No shit. Well, that's one of the things I liked about ROMs, is where you can do a save state and come back.
So I was actually able to... It's a little bit different with the Japanese version. So I've been playing the Japanese version, and I've been actually getting my son has been loving playing on the Famicom twin disc system that I have. He's been playing some of the original Super Mario on it. I've got the... on the disc version, and then I've got the Super Mario 2, the real one, which was the actual, what we now know as Lost Levels. See, in Japan, they thought we weren't going to be good enough for their Super Mario 2, so they sent us Doki Doki Panic swapped out with Mario characters. In Japan, it's called Super Mario USA, and ironically enough, everybody found Lost Levels really tough, and Super Mario USA wound up being more popular there, just like we had the Super Mario 2. So he's been playing Lost Levels, and I've got the cartridge of the Super Mario 3 on the Famicom, which he's playing on the twin disc system, and we've been enjoying all three of those.
Dude, I just learned something tonight. I did not know that Mario 2 here was actually a different game with a Mario skin on it.
Yeah, it was Doki Doki Panic, and originally it was all Arabian characters, and it was
not
a popular
know that.
game over there. Yep, and they just swapped out the sprites for Mario ones.
That's freaking awesome.
And it just turned it into a dream. Yeah, they just changed the story a little bit. And I still love our Super Mario 2, which in Japan is known as Super Mario USA. And it's I believe it's a pink cartridge, too. So yeah, it actually wound up even being more popular there than Super Mario 2, which was our Lost Levels.
Dude, okay. I try to learn something new every single day. And it's like, okay. Other than, hey, a new game's coming out and me learning about some new game, it's rare that I learn something new about an old game like that. I did not know that. And that's frigging awesome.
They also, if you use the ROMs where you can hack around, they actually found where you can get extra, like the development test levels in Super Mario 3 recently as well.
Really?
Yes, I mean, they're pretty bare. There's not a lot to them, but there's a whole bunch of them. So there's been some new stuff they found about old games, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
That's
so I've been
wild.
playing some old school stuff with the kids. Of course, we've been playing a lot of the Switch lately. The new Pokemon Arceus, me and the wife play a lot.
You said your daughter had been playing RPG Maker.
Yes. She is working on trying to make her own game, and we've been kind of like, encouraging her, and she's adding story, and she's adding like the dragons and stuff, so she's, playing around with that.
Dude, we have got, and this might be the drunk me talking, but drunk me has come up with some great ideas before. We have got to just make, with the tools we have, like RPG Maker, we have just got to make an RPG. Like we've got so many storylines.
I thought about actually making a G.N.A. game.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. I've got to break this for a second. You have no idea what just happened. My wife just came in here and she realized how drunk I was and immediately took all of my phones, and I think she took whatever wallet I had too, so that I cannot drink and Prime.
Oh god, drinking Amazon Prime has always been dangerous for you. Oh my god. You woke up to some jacked up shit coming to your door.
Dude, I've had like burrito blankets showing up. Dude, I had like one of the best ones I had, which they were so pretty and I shouldn't have sent them back. It was actually a stainless steel set. It was 3 sets. Love you. Good night. Oh, that was Bot saying good night.
Nice.
Night.
No, there you go. I don't know if you heard her or not.
I did actually.
Want me to come back there and ask you?
Come on, say that.
That's one of the beautiful things about these
everyone.
Yeti mics and these mics that we get.
Just coming
I'm
back
deaf.
to say goodnight, go in bed. Night.
Can I hug? Nothing? No? Okay. Good. You're too old. I got it.
Family don't
there we
shake
go.
hands. Family
Head
don't
crush.
hug.
Head crush. Oh, God. Your boob just made my ear go deaf.
Okay, you nearly choked me with your man boob the other day.
Dude,
okay?
what do you mean man boob?
She called you out on your
Manny,
shit.
as
That's
you
what just
called it,
happened.
was
You're
on my
called-
throat
you're
as you were
called
trying to
elderly
hug
pecs,
me,
thank you
and
very much.
You nearly choked me.
God, can you hear this? She's saying I'm fat. She's saying I got
Yeah,
boobies.
no, we got it all.
Yes,
we heard
you have
man
man
boob and
boobies.
everything.
No, I'm
It
not
almost
saying
choked
you're
her
fat.
out.
I'm just saying you have man boobies that tried to choke me.
Hey, I'm
It's a real story.
I'm festively plump.
That is a real story. He did that like a couple weeks ago.
Beefcake.
I'm not fat and big boned.
Good night.
Good night.
But yeah, actually, I was thinking about trying to propose. I was actually trying to work on an idea to come up with one of these shows and actually be like, Cecil, we got to make a G.N.A. podcast game.
We do.
And I was kind of racking my brain about what I wanted to like center it on. But I didn't want to rip anything off because like maybe it's like a whole bunch of different games mixed together. But then it's like you already have that DS game that came out, that retro one where you played in a different style games. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And I was thinking, maybe
Evil
a drunken
Land,
beat 'em
right?
up.
Evil Land was that one, right?
No, it was God, retro something. I forget. I'll have to look it up.
Hold on. Erin, you got your hand up for a second. Let me look this up quick. Yeah, Evil Land. There's a game called Evil Land where you play through all sorts of different RPG style games. Like all the way from like turn-based side, like Final Fantasy style, to like adventure style, like Final Fantasy Adventure, which are actually like the Mana game. I forget. Anyway.
Oh, what I was thinking of, Cecil, wasn't specifically an RPG one. I just brought it up. It was Retro Game Challenge on the DS, which did more than just RPGs. It did a whole gamut of them that you went through.
Oh, yeah, I missed
So, but yeah, we both are basically hitting the nail on the head. I didn't want to do anything cheesy like that. I've been kind of racking my brain. I was thinking, like, do we want to do an RPG? Do we want to do a beat 'em up? It's got to be something with alcohol.
It's got to be something where you drink heavily and it enhances you. But what do you got, Erin?
Why don't you just make like a drinking board game? Like, instead of like, you know how they have all those like children's board games like Candyland and all like that shit? But like that, but like whatever you land on, like, oh, you have to do a shot of whatever. And then you have like the drinks that people that are on the podcast drink the most frequently. So you could have like, oh, you have to do a shot of like Tullamore Dew, or like you have to shotgun a bud or something. Like, literally, like, you roll, and then whatever you land on, you, like, start drinking things. You have to do something dumb, like buy a burrito blanket on Amazon Prime. Maybe not that, but, like stupid shit like that. Like, you pick these little highlights from different podcast episodes, and you throw them on there. I know you guys were talking about a video game, but that's the only thing that, like, popped into my head.
Like, Monopoly for drunken children up here, like me and Cecil.
Yeah, kind of, but like, interactive. Like, instead of just landing and buying imaginary shit on this board or whatever, you're like, oh, you have to like do something that involves drinking. It's the Games Nerds Alcohol Podcast, so just like sprinkle that in.
Yeah, like you have to go to Humble Bundle and actually like donate something. Like that's an idea there.
And you could put it on the Teespring store.
We have to let that stew. We have to come up with a cool idea because I've got so many different freaking programs I bought to aid in game development, not just like say indie, not just RPG Maker. Why don't we start using this shit and make some money here?
There you go.
So we can drink more.
We should. Well, so the thing is, my big problem is when it comes to the art part of it. So like, I can come up with so many ideas. I can come up with storylines. I can write. Speaking of which, I got to tell you about this Zombicide game we played because it was friggin' fantastic. But like, I can come up with storyline all day long. My problem is I am not an artist. So like, when it comes to making it look good, like that's not me. I definitely got to outsource for that.
But we do have sources for art. I mean, we know several people, both family members, friends, etc. So we can pull it off.
So anyways, okay, I got to tell you about this Zombicide game, okay?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever played Zombicide?
I have no idea what that is at all.
No, but I did have it explained to me because remember when we were trying to muddle through getting me through the metaverse and the Oculus Rift and we were playing around, you were showing me Zombicide?
Yeah.
I haven't actually played it yet, but I did see that a little bit of an explanation.
So how Zombicide works is it's pretty easy. It's you've got a book of different scenarios, and you've got square board pieces that make it look like a city or a prison or whatever. And you've got different scenarios, like you've got to go find specific objectives. You've got to open specific doors. You've got to kill a certain number of zombies. You've got these different objectives that you have to do. And you have 6 survivors, and you have to get them through the objectives. And it's very, very rudimentary. You have your 6 survivors go, and then the zombies have an action. And the zombies' actions are, again, very rudimentary. They have 1 activation. So they either move, or if they're on a place with a survivor, they attack. Very simplistic, very easy. You've got cards that drawn out that make it a little bit more kind of questionable. So you can have a card that draws out that says walkers get an extra activation. Anyway, the cool part about it is that you get these little miniatures that come with them. And they're pretty detailed miniatures. Like, they're resin dipped. They're really good looking. I've painted a bunch of them. In fact, that's where I started painting miniatures, and they're really, really nice. So, my daughter and I was playing Zombicide, and we're playing the second season of Zombicide. And it's called Prison Break. So the first one that you play is a huge map, and it took us 4 or 6 hours to play the entirety of this whole map. How it rolled out is you have 6 characters. You have, it's Watts, Kim, Shannon. Watts, Kim, Shannon, Grindlock.
Bell, Joshua, Grindlock.
Sorry, Bell and Joshua. So
Grindlock.
I said Grindlock.
I did not hear you say Grindlock.
Okay, well, I said Grindlock. So my daughter just came in here to reprimand me for not getting it right, even though I was kind of right. So we have all these 6 characters. What happened is their start in the prison because the prison breaks. Now, if anybody remembers You're All Gonna Rot in Prison, that's where this really comes out to because it was friggin' fantastic. It was like a reimaging of that.
Of course. I played that. Yep, I remember.
Which we've got to redo that. That one-off was friggin' fantastic, and we've got to do that again. But anyway, so they all start off in this prison, and how it rolls is if you open the doors to lead outside, a spawn point inside the prison opens up too. So like if you open the doors outside, the inside doors open up and allow zombies to spawn inside. So every time there's a turn, zombies spawn. Every time you open up a door, zombies spawn in there once. So if you open up a door to a building, if there's 3 rooms in that building, zombies spawn each 3 of those rooms. So what happened is they were in the prison and they said, okay, well shit, we got to get out of here. So they walk over and they open the cell doors. And as they open the cell doors, all of a sudden there's a shit ton of zombies in there. And they're like, oh crap, we got to close these doors. So they close the doors to stop the zombies getting to them. Of course, it's a prison, so it's strong enough to hold the zombies back. But there's also something in there called an abomination. An abomination is like the elite thing. It's the hardest thing to kill. So they kind of pool up at that one door. They're like, well, shit, we're not opening that door. But there was maps that they had to get inside of that cell block that they had to go get. So we decided that one person was going to try to stay in the prison, open the doors, and basically just like open the doors and close the doors so we didn't have that extra spawn point. That was going to be, I think Bell was going to stay inside. Well, it all ended up being pretty shitty. So they open the door, they get outside, and Josh, Shannon, and Grinlock, and one other, I forget who it was. They decide that like they're going to go out there and they get in one of the police cars and they start driving the police car around and they start like running over zombies and all this stuff. And there were maps that they had to get out there. So they go out and they get to a building and they drop off Gridlock. Gridlock runs in the building and goes and picks up the map. Well, while he does that, they run over to another building. And Josh parks the car, and Josh is like, oh shit, get out, go get I think he was yelling to Kim. It's like, quick, get out, go get the map. So she runs out, runs to the building, goes to get the map. Well, while she's in the building, zombies swarm over top of Josh, and they kill him. Well, in this specific version of Zombicide, when you die, you don't actually die, you come back as a zombie survivor. So instead of taking 2 damage and then dying and you're out of the game, you come back to life and you flip your card over and you're a zombie, but you're a survivor. So the way we were playing it was that you were a zombie, but you weren't quite a zombie, kind of like you started to turn, you have the best parts of being a zombie, but you're also cognitive of being a human being, but you're kind of slipping into that whole, I'm turning into a zombie, so it's starting to turn primal. So literally, Josh gets overwhelmed, and then like he gets up, and he looks over, and like he's got 2 katanas. He's got a katana and a wasashi, because that's what the weapons that he found when he was scavenging. And he looks over, and like literally he gets up, and of course he's all like bitten and bleeding and shit. And he looks over and he sees the runner that was one of the zombies that killed him. He looks over and he sees this runner, and all of a sudden the runner looks over at him and he's like, oh fuck, you're alive. And he goes and jumps at him. And of course, because he came back as a zombie, he's got super strength. That was his specific power. So he fucking murders this zombie, like just fucking slices and dices. He gets in the car, and because he's still focused on, all right, I gotta save Gridlock, because Gridlock is off in this building alone. He gets in the car, fucking drives over there, gets to Gridlock, and Gridlock, who's in the building, runs over and he's like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. So he runs to the door and he's like, oh man, they're supposed to come back for me. Where the hell are they? He sees the police car fucking pull up and just, and he sees Josh in there, or what he thinks is Josh, because he sees a silhouette of him. And he's like, oh man, thank God. All of a sudden, Josh gets out of the car. And he just stands up and he got in the car and just fucking stabbed the swords into the seat. He didn't even bother like sheathing them or anything. He just fucking stabs them into the seats, drives. And as he gets out, he just yanks them both out of the seat, stands up and gets out of the car. And fucking Gridlock is looking at him like, wait, is he okay? And Gridlock, just with both swords in hand, just turns around. And all of a sudden, Gridlock sees that Josh is really fucked up. And he sees him like drooling and shit. And there's a whole bunch of zombies right outside the door. And he just goes fucking Cuisinart on these guys. And he just starts slicing and dicing and making julienne fries. And then like Josh is just looking at him like, whoa. Because he had super strength. So he's like really just wrecking into these guys. And Josh just looks over at Gridlock. And he kind of looks at the car. And he just says one word and goes, run. And he fucking charges into a pile of zombies. Like just full on charges. He gets over there. He starts slicing and dicing. Well, Gridlock, not kind of figuring out what's going on, just going, well, shit. Like my buddy's over there. I gotta go help him. He runs out of the door, skips the car, runs into this group of zombies and starts like literally chopping at zombies. And literally he gets close enough to Josh to actually get a look at him. And he realized that Josh has got like a bite out of his neck. He's got he's like half of his forehead's gone. Like he's messed up. And Josh just looks over and says, I told you to run. And so like all of a sudden Gridlock's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm out. So he runs over to go get Kim, who's stuck in a building, who went to go get one of the maps. He gets over to Kim, and Kim's like, hey, what's going on? Because Kim saw Josh get murdered outside, and it's like, oh my God, Josh is dead. And Gridlock runs over to Kim, and he's like, yeah, so Josh is up there playing his whole I'm a ninja thing. I'm pretty sure he's Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm not sure. And Kim's like, wait a minute. I saw him die. He's like, no, if he's dead, he's looking really good for dead. So they're like Gridlock and Kim are like sitting at the door going, all right, well, we got to make it to the door to get out of here. So Kim runs across to get to the cell doors again. Meanwhile, inside, Shannon and who the hell is it? Bell and Watts. Thank you. Kids yelling at here, correcting my fucking story. I love her. So Kim, Bell, and Watts are inside the building because they ended up staying inside because Josh rolled around when he was in the car and was like, Bell, get out and go help Shannon, because Shannon was getting the shit kicked out of her. So they ended up staying in the prison, and they went off.
They kicked Sharon out.
Yeah, that. Kick Sharon out. Whatever. Anyways, all three of them are in the prison. And they decide, well, shit, we got to go get the map that's over in the cell block. So they had a Molotov cocktail. They opened the door, launched a Molotov cocktail, killed all these zombies, ran over, got the maps that were over there, came back, and one of them was still sitting at the door, basically holding the switches. And another one comes up and we're like, well, shit, we got to open these switches quick. So as Kim gets over to the door, Gridlock runs out and sees Josh getting overwhelmed by zombies. So he's like, well, fuck. I can't leave him. I can't leave him there. So Josh runs over and starts charging through zombies to try to get to Josh. And unfortunately, the zombies overcame Gridlock. So Gridlock drops, And then Josh, seeing like the only person he actually tried to stay alive to save, he sees Grimlock drop, and then he's just like, I can't do it. Like, that was the whole point, and now he's dead. So he literally just like drops to his knees, drops the swords, and zombies overwhelm him and just like murder him completely. Well, Grimlock, having the crap kicked out of him, he gets up. And he sees Josh just overwhelmed by zombies because they all like walked over to him to start to kill him. He's just exhausted. He just starts swinging wildly, and he's bleeding all over the place, realizing, yeah, he's not making it. He's dead. So he's swinging wildly at everything, and he can't make it, but he slips away and gets over to Kim. And, Kim's knocking on the thing to say, hey, open the door. And they open the door for her. And she's like, hey, come on, Grimlock, we gotta go. And he's just like, I'm not making it. I'm a liability. And he pushes her through the door, and then he bangs on the wall to say, hey, close the door. Cause they don't have any like cameras or shit open up because most electricity's down. So of course, them on the inside, they're like, well, shit, they're saying close the door now. So they close the door, and the last thing Kim sees is Grimlock outside, like being overwhelmed by zombies and just like in exhaustion, just swinging this baseball bat, trying to kill anything that moves up to him. And she just sees like the last thing she sees through the slit is Grimlock being overwhelmed by zombies and being killed. And she just kind of like drops to the door, puts her back to it, just slides down, and she starts crying and shit. And the rest of them, of course, run up. They're like, hey, what's going on? Like, where's Grimlock? Where's Josh? And she's just trying to tell them that, like, no, they didn't make it, but she couldn't get it out. But all of a sudden, everybody's realizing, oh shit, they like didn't make it. And that was our fucking game of Zombicide.
It was a sad as fuck story.
Right?
Like, it was cool, but it was sad as hell.
Like, right?
I didn't expect to be fucking depressed today,
Right?
Cecil.
We're drinking. Why bring depression into this?
Yeah, fuck. But it did make me think of something completely unrelated when you said something about the Ninja Turtles. Did you know in Great Britain that they are not called the Ninja Turtles? They're called the Hero Turtles? Because apparently they had I don't know the whole story, but I guess they had some kind of issue with ninja violence. I don't know how or why. I'm very confused.
It's a serious thing.
I'm very confused by the whole thing. But they had a big enough problem with ninjas. I don't know if kids were hitting each other with nunchucks or whatever. But the government had enough. So they were like, you can't call them the Super Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're Super Mutant Hero Turtles. And they wouldn't let, I don't remember which one has nunchucks.
Michelangelo.
They wouldn't let him have... So, Michelangelo, they censored him. So, if you watch, like, the British version of the Ninja Turtles, it's called the Hero Turtles. And in the intro, they don't even show him fighting with nunchucks. They, like, replace his character with, like, random shots of the other characters fighting. And then they either gave him, I don't remember if they were, like, short swords or daggers, but they gave him, like, swords instead of nunchucks, which I don't know how that's less violent. Or, like, a grappling, like, chain thing. And, like, with sharp hooks on it to straight up murk fools. And so, apparently, in Great Britain, they have a ninja problem. There's people running around the streets with scythes and nunchucks or something. And to this day, it's still censored. And they're the Hero Turtles.
And this is why we broke away from the UK and become so much more powerful.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Ignore history, just because of the Ninja Turtle shit.
You're not wrong.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, ninjas? Like, that's not a problem.
So the UK had a ninja problem. They decided to censor Michelangelo. We said, fuck that, through Tea Party, and broke off.
That's how it worked. Actually, so like...
Totally.
So have you guys ever read the actual Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic books?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
They are so much
Dude,
darker.
Okay, so Raphael, like, he's always been like the bad boy. Raphael straight out murks people. Like, he fucking kills people. Not the Foot and like their robots and shit. He fucking straight out murks people. Leonardo has PTSD, like full on post traumatic stress. I mean, if you haven't read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the comic books, you have to read them because it's heavy. It's not the lighthearted comic, like the lighthearted cartoon fucking
from the 80s,
it's
90s,
not that. Mm-hmm. Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they are fucked up. Like, all the things that make you scratch your head and go, why the hell did he do that? Like, where Raphael goes off and he's like I forget what he's called, but he's like the Night Avenger or some shit like that. You're sitting there going, like, what's the point of that? He's already doing good by fighting evil and fighting the Foot. Like, I don't get this. It's because they're, like, Leonardo's trying to, like, turn them down this path of we don't hurt people. And he's like, no, I fucking kill people. Like, I have the ability. I can do this. I'm going to do this. And it's not like they're all buddy-buddy all the time. They fight between themselves. The Shredder? Holy shit. The Shredder. Like, you want a fucking villain? The Shredder.
Lives up to his name in the comic book.
Well, generally speaking, like, don't comic books usually get darker than, like, their, like, fit for TV screen
not
adaptations?
Always.
Usually.
I mean,
yeah. Like, I feel like a lot of the times they get dark.
Some of them do, yeah. Like, some of them can take it dark. Like, Punisher. When Punisher started, Punisher was in Spider-Man, and he was kind of like, he was a little edgy, but he was pretty lighthearted. And then they started taking Punisher down a really dark path. Like, they really started exploring the Punisher as all right, he's a war veteran, fucking post-traumatic stress. He is fucked in the head. Like, they went down that realm. But there are certain characters that they really didn't go down that realm with. Like, I almost want to say Deadpool. They didn't go down that dark realm with Deadpool because he's always been kind of like the lighthearted comedic guy.
Actually, not always. They actually did several different revisions of Deadpool. He was a little bit more serious to start off with, but they kept kind of revising Deadpool. So he didn't start off as a lighthearted jokester.
He wasn't a lighthearted jokester, but he was more comic bookish than probably, like, definitely more comic bookish than the fucking Turtles. Like, it blows my mind when I think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I grew up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and yeah, like, cowabunga, dude! Like, oh man, let's go check this out. Donatello, hey, what gadget do you have for us now? And there's Leonardo going, oh man, guys, we gotta totally get on board here because there's some things going down. We gotta fight the Shredder. And Raphael going, oh man, you guys don't know what's going on. I don't get you. I'm gonna go off on my own. Oh, I met Casey Jones. Like, that's what you think?
And then we open the comic book and it's just fucking murder.
It's like, I'm murking people. There are heads flying. Literal heads flying.
And now some of the comic books, like what's really cool is when they went back, The Last Ronin. Have you guys looked at The Last Ronin at all?
Oh, The Last Ronin. Are you talking about the manga?
Yeah, where the other turtles die and they leave one turtle left. That's basically getting revenge.
Sorry. Okay, you're talking about the Turtles, The Last Ronin. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, but dark as fuck.
Dude, yeah, like, it's so, like,
I know the original comics are dark, but this one's pretty damn good too, and pretty dark too.
Well, the thing that I love about, okay, so comic books back in the, I don't care, fucking 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, they were written for children. They were written for kids.
They were written
they
for the
were
times.
Campy. They were political.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things to them, but they were really written for children.
I mean, golden age of comics. You had the real, I think maybe it was after that you had Man of Steel. Was that more like 40s Man of Steel? Damn.
Man of Steel.
Yeah, Superman.
Oh, you're talking about Superman. Sorry.
Yeah, like, I'm starting to get like you got the golden silver ages where it was still like all campy and, safe for kids.
Well, that was like the golden silver age. It was written for kids, but there was a lot of political undertones to a lot of it.
Yeah,
like there was a lot of propaganda in it, and there was a lot, but mostly it was written for a children's palate. And then, and this is the thing I love about comics is that it grew with the people. Like, there are still campy kid comics. Like, there are still those. But they looked at it and they said, okay, well, the age group of people are growing, so let's grow with them. So you've got like Punisher Max, you've got Wolverine Max, and when you see Max on a comic book, that tells you right there, do not give this to a child. There is somebody going to be eviscerated in this. There is going to be some sort of sex scene. There is going to be Bruce Wayne's penis hanging out. Something is going to happen in this that you do not want to expose to a child.
And Lobo comics are just great.
Well, see, but even Lobo was written originally, like, Lobo was very lighthearted and comic bookish, and then they decided to like really shift him into a
adult version, which follows into your conversation. It started off lighthearted, and then it went to like it's not for kids. Like the ones my dad collects, not for kids.
Like it was Lobo is fuck bitches, get money. That's Lobo.
And kill a whole bunch of people in the that annoy you just because.
Oh yeah, 100%. But that's the thing.
Well, I feel like oops, sorry. Well, I feel like in comic books they can get dark like that because they don't have like the rating systems like movies have. You know what I mean? Like if you want Deadpool to swear, you know what I mean? Like that changes the rating, or like you have nudity that changes the rating. But like in comic books, I feel like it's more like a Wild West type of situation. Like it's more open for you to do what you want, so they can explore these really dark, gritty versions of characters, and then they don't have to censor it or slap like these horrible ratings on it. Not horrible, but like to slap like the different rating systems on
there
it.
Is
like,
a
significant
heavy metal.
Make Superman strip murder civilians.
There's a significant amount of freedom. There is a significant amount of freedom when it comes to comic book and the extension of art there, and it's awesome. Like it's exactly like you said. It's almost the wild, wild west. Because there's a lot that you can do. Now, there are some things, like, as I said, when they've labeled it as Marvel Max, they've just been like, hey, look, this isn't for kids, so you don't want to buy this. And oftentimes, like, I've even seen it in comic book shops where somebody's walked in, a kid, they've been like, hey, I want to pick up this Punisher comic. They're like, well, I really don't think you should be buying that. Where's your parents? Because, like, Punisher Max is fucking, like, it's disturbing. Like, it touches onto some things that, even as a full-grown adult, a well-adjusted human being, I look at and go, that's kind of fucked up. Like, that's messed up. Like, did you ever see Punisher Warzone? Did you ever see that movie?
No, I saw, I don't even remember the actor, but there was
Thomas
a Punisher
Jane?
Movie made.
Thomas
in
Jane.
I don't know. It was, I think it came out, it had John Travolta in it.
Yes, that was Thomas Jane.
That was like the main villain.
I love that movie. I love Thomas Jane's. In fact, if you have not watched there's a short film with Thomas Jane as the Punisher again, and it's like a 15-minute like fan film type of thing. If you haven't seen that, it's worth it 100%. I love Thomas Jane's Punisher. Thomas Jane's Punisher to me was it wasn't the Punisher that first came out. It was the Punisher that came out afterwards when he had his own comic.
I was thinking
wasn't
like 90s
Max
Punisher. You know what I mean? That really reminded me of that 90s Punisher that we were reading.
Like
exactly.
Late 90s Punisher. Like not early 90s, but late 90s Punisher. So if you haven't had a chance to see Punisher Warzone has a different, it was after that Punisher that you're thinking about with Thomas Jane. It had a different actor and it had, you remember Nedry from Seinfeld? Or Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park? Remember the heavier set guy who locks everything down? I didn't say the magic word. That guy. He's in it as well. And he's the Punisher's kind of like tech guy. He's the Punisher's kind of concierge. He's, I am so fucked up. I said that word really, really wrong. But he's basically a Punisher's go-to guy for weaponry, technology, shit like that. He's in it. And that Punisher, which has got, I think, Jigsaw as the main villain, that Punisher right there is about as close to Punisher Max as you can get on the screen. Like, it's hardcore. It's pretty good.
Have you guys watched? So I know, like right now, it's probably never coming back. But the Netflix Punisher series with the
Yes.
John Bernthal led.
Yes.
That, I mean, it's got some more like kind of, I don't want to call it like soap opera, but it's got like more of those like emotional like drama elements, like oh, this happens, this kind of thing. But like, I really, really like John Bernthal's Punisher. Like, he's just really cool.
I love John Bernthal's Punisher, but I liked his Punisher more in Daredevil than I liked in his own series. It's almost like they had a good idea when they started it, but I'm so frustrated with where they went with it. It was about as frustrating as Iron Fist, because I love Iron Fist as a character. And I think the Netflix version of Iron Fist, while I enjoyed it because I enjoy the Iron Fist character, they didn't display the Danny Rand that was Iron Fist. It was like they went with like year one Danny Rand, and he was just kind of a pussy. Like, Danny Rand is Iron Fist. Like, God, they had so much opportunity there with like Heroes for Hire. And they didn't capitalize on it.
That's fair. I mean, that's a fair criticism. I watched all the way through Iron Fist. I didn't watch all the way through Daredevil, and I couldn't get into it, and I don't know why this is what broke it for me, and it's probably not fair because you could say that about just about any mainstream show or whatever, but like, when you see that giant ass apartment that he's in that's like the size of a fucking warehouse, and I was like, get the fuck out of here that him and this guy live in this apartment. It's like thousands of square footage. Like, shut up. It's like
all of Iron?
so stupid to me. I was like, get out of here. And I stopped.
Keep in mind, he was blind, so he would have had that going for him. And he was a lawyer. So, like, he had that going for him. Now, he always was presented as living in poverty. And he was probably living in poverty because it cost him $8,000 a month to hold that fucking apartment.
That's what I mean. It was like, oh, what is the town? It's called like, or the city. It's called like Hell's Kitchen.
Well, it's
like,
New York City.
Oh, he lives in Hell's Kitchen and it's super gritty. And then he lives in this fucking ridiculous sized apartment that would never exist. I'm like, what did you do? Buy a warehouse and convert it? Fuck you. I don't know why. I just got mad about it and then I stopped. Like, I know that's such a stupid thing, but I was like, shut up. You didn't afford 1990s this apartment.
Housing market as opposed to now.
Yeah, that's 100% fair criticism, because like that apartment was gargantuan for what, like in New York City, like in Manhattan, especially in Hell's Kitchen. I mean, Hell's Kitchen is, well, I mean, it didn't get its name for any reason. I mean, it got its name for a reason, but even in Hell's Kitchen, like that apartment is amazingly gargantuan. And that's a completely fair. But as I said, you got to give him that he's blind. So he probably got some sort of fucking discount because he's blind type of thing, or subsidy or some shit like that. But the thing that Daredevil, that made me love Daredevil, and it's this simple thing that I haven't seen enough in other series or other movies to make me really feel committed. Do you remember that hallway scene where he's fighting to go save that child? Did you get to that part?
I don't even remember. Honestly, it was so long ago. All I remember is getting mad about this apartment. Him and the chubby guy that had the apartment together. That's the only visual. I just have that running through my head.
So there's the scene where he is going to like save this kid, and he's in this hallway, and he's fought his way to this hallway to go get to this kid down at the end of the hallway. And every punch he throws, he's visibly exhausted. He's visibly just drained of everything. And then somebody comes out and he just gets this burst of energy and he throws his punch and it's perfect. And he knocks this guy out. And then as soon as he knocks this guy out, he just collapses against the wall. And he just like, you could see him trying to catch his breath. And he's just like, holy shit, I'm fucking beat. And then somebody jumps out and he's got like adrenaline kicks in and he's got to beat this guy down and he gets him 1-2 punch. He dodges a punch or he takes the punch and then he gets the best of him. And that one hallway scene where you see him visibly exhausted, unlike the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, which, by the way, I enjoyed that. I actually liked the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. Unlike that movie where he literally gets the shit kicked out of him and he's literally laying there dying on a floor. And he's visibly dying. Like, he's not like, oh, I'm kind of hurt. I'm not going to make it. And then gets up. Oh, no, I was joking. I'm really okay. No, he's visibly fucking dying on the floor there. And then he gets up and has like this epic battle with Bullseye. It's nothing like that. Like that hallway scene where he's getting the crap kicked out of him and he's just exhausted. He's thrown against the wall and he throws a punch and he gets the best of somebody. And then somebody starts kicking the shit out of him and he just gets that upper hand. Like that whole hallway scene, it set me to like, okay, this series has got something because that's something I've never seen in another series or another movie where they're showing just the human element and him overcoming.
I do, I can appreciate that. I mean, I do get, like, I feel like everybody gets this way. Like, you watch, like, a superhero movie, not even necessarily superhero, but, like, you watch a movie or whatever, and, like, you have this protagonist, and all of a sudden they don't get tired, and they're bulletproof. And then, like, anybody who's ever even, not even if you've done it yourself, like, anybody who's ever even watched a sport, like, to do anything that, like, ups your stamina, like, you have to train for, like, that certain thing, or you're fucked. Like, I did track for a little bit, and I only trained for, like, one specific event, and then they put me in something else. And I don't know where it is, if it still exists or not, but there is a video of, like, you can see the exact moment when, because I didn't train for the event that they set me up for, like, my mind was in it, but my body just started to give up on me. And I couldn't, like, I was supposed to be jumping hurdles, like, multiple laps on the track jumping hurdles, and I hadn't trained for that long, like, to do that specific event. And so, like, I wanted to jump, and, like, you can see it, like, I'm pushing really hard, and my legs just give out, and I couldn't jump anymore. And then you see these superhero movies with people that are not, you know, they're supposed to be regular people, like, you know, Black Widow or something. I know she's, like, whatever. But, like, they can just go forever, and it's, like, that's not, like, you can't do that. Like, you reach a point where no matter how strong you are, how whatever, like, your body just gives. Well, and I don't think there's enough of seeing them struggle like that.
Well, and that's the thing that I loved about Daredevil is that you could see he was physically tapped out and he's just like adrenaline's kicking in and he's just like, there's that little extra burst of energy and then you just see him collapsing and he's like, oh God, I can't make this. And then something else happens. He's like, oh my God, I have to make this. It's life or death. There's no option I have. And just because he's been doing that night after night after night, it's just like, that sucked me into Daredevil. Everything else that happened in that show, I pretty much could care less, to be honest. But that's like, that hallway scene was like, damn, like that. I've been there. I've worked 36 hours straight and just been like, you know, 24 hours in and been like, oh my God, I don't know if I can continue. And then just finding that little burst of energy, being like, all right, I can do this. I got this. And then making it to the end of that 36 hours and you're like, holy shit, I actually made this. And then somebody's standing next to you going, look, I just got here. I've got a full night's sleep. How the hell are you still standing? And you're like, I don't know, but I'm here. We still got to kick ass.
I remember after pushing myself for 3 days straight, I went down. I was on bed rest orders, right? Like because I was in the military at the time, and I was pushing myself hard. And then finally, it's like on the radio, my buddy like heard just gibberish. Well, my last memory is given like a little update of what was going on, and my buddy's like, "He ain't all right. I just heard gibberish, right?" So apparently, they went over to the shelter I was in, right, and I had actually completely passed out. So they opened the door, and I just came spilling out and hit the ground, and I was not waking up. So they trying to drag me off. Got me all in there, and then I was put on, like, bed rest orders for a little bit while I kind of recuperated. Like, they couldn't wake me up at first. Like, it's like, I think he's dead. I was just like, I was a sack of potatoes. I went right over the shelter, hit the ground, didn't move. They're like, it's not good.
Dude, there's been a couple of times in my life where I've extended farther than I really should have. And it's a stupid work ethic thing. It's just, it's a fault of mine. I'm not going to lie. It's a fault. It's not something that's healthy. And if you're listening to this is not something that you should do ever. You should know your limits and you should stop when you've reached those limits. But the one I remember vividly is I was working at the hospital and we were implementing a new EMR, which is electronic medical record. And shit was hitting the fan. Like nothing was going well. Zero was going well. And the pharmacy we were going live in stages. And every time we went live in whatever stage it was bad. And every time we went live in something else, it kept getting worse. And it was one of those, they sent a team to work on it, but they were kind of like, God, I don't know how to describe this. Cause I don't want to label it as what like initially came to mind, but I'm just going to put them as they were more level-headed. You know, they were you pay me for 8 hours, I work for 8 hours. They weren't of the mindset of when shit hits the fan, you fucking pull your bootstraps up and you barrel your way through it. And whatever the fuck else happens, it happens. And then when you get to the end of it, you go, all right, peace out. You're not going to see me for 2 days. Like, it's not that same mentality. It's the mentality of, you got me for 8 hours. That's all you get. After 8 hours, I turn my brain off. I turn my phone off. You can't get in touch with me type of people, which is perfectly fine. And I understand. And that's a fully valid and working logic. And honestly, it's a healthier logic. I'm just cut from a different cloth. Not better. Not saying that. Just a different cloth. So when shit hits the fan, I turn it up to 11. So the pharmacy was going live with their new AMR and shit went wrong. So I worked my entire day and then like literally as I worked my entire day, as my day was ending, shit started going wrong. So I stuck around and I worked on this and I found whoever needed to fix it and fix this problem. And as another problem woke up, I found that problem and I fixed that problem. And as another problem woke up, I found that problem and I fixed that problem. Or not necessarily I fixed it, but I got it into the hands. Like I was the director of shit, you know, so
you directed the right group.
So like when something bad happened, yeah, exactly. When somebody said, hey, this is going wrong. All right. I know who needs to touch that. I got in touch with them, rode their ass until it got fixed, et cetera, et cetera. Well, after I was there for probably 36-ish, 37-ish hours, everybody had gone home, come back, and I was still there. Well, of course, me being the person I am, I called my wife and I said, hey, can you bring me a change of clothes and a toothbrush? She's like, yeah, sure. Where have you been all night? I'm like, well, I'm still at work. She's like, you're still working. I'm like, yes, I just need to change clothes and a toothbrush because I need to brush my teeth. So she showed up like literally with a hanger with my fucking dress clothes on it. I went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, changed clothes. And it was one of those, well, I got to work the entire day. Like I don't have an option here. I've got a 4 o'clock MRI or some shit like that. So I worked the entire day. 4 o'clock rolls around. I get my MRI because I was getting something done. Get my MRI. I go back in there. I start to work. And my boss, thankfully, who had more sense than me, looked at me and said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, this has got to get done. 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 And he goes, no, you're done. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, you are leaving right now. It's like, no, this has got to get done. It's like, it'll be there in a couple of days when you come back.
You asked for a change of clothes. I brought you the toothbrush, deodorant, hairbrush, everything else.
Right. I asked for a change of clothes. My wife brought me all the toiletries. Sorry. Thank you for correcting
me. And you were very happy because you said that stuff is actually what made you feel more awake and alive for the day.
Correct. So, I apologize. I made a mistake. Thank you for correcting me. So, I brush my teeth. I get everything done. I go back to work, and my boss is like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, it's just got to get done. He's like, no. And he said, come on, get up. I'm like, why? He's like, you're going home. I'm like, well, no, this has got to get done. He's like, no, you're going home. And he literally escorted me out of the building. He literally picked me up and kicked me out. And as I'm walking out, he's like, I don't want to see you here tomorrow. It's like, I don't want to, like, if you show up tomorrow, I'm going to kick you out. I'm like, but this has got to get done. He's like, no, you have to leave.
This is after you broke up your day to have a CT done as well.
Well, I said MRI. I have CT, whatever. Like, okay. So, like, I've been there. Like, my brain is wrapped around, like, those working hours. And it's, like, when shit happens, you just, like, I can understand that whole concept of, like, adrenaline kicks in and you just got to keep pushing and you just keep pushing and you just keep pushing.
You got to be careful.
So, like, I get that mentality.
Because in the military, one time, I actually did cause myself internal bleeding from all the damage. It's
not healthy. That's why I say you, like, don't do what I have done, because it's not healthy. Don't do it. It's not the best thing. It's just at the time, that's what I thought was the right thing to do. And the right thing to do isn't necessarily the right thing to do.
I think because we're, sharing stories about our but my worst one wasn't physical exhaustion. It was like mental exhaustion. So I was in college getting my criminal justice degree, and we had a professor who said, you're supposed to do, each essay had to be at least 3 pages, and we were supposed to have 1 a week, but he said they weren't due until the end of semester. So my stupid ass heard that and thought, that means I'll just do all of them at the end of the semester, which was 15 essays that each have to be 3 pages long, and it's all about, every single one of them is based on a landmark Supreme Court decision. So you have to read through pages and pages of documents from the Supreme Court,
Rough.
like supporting and dissenting opinions. Each judge's opinion, these are like 20, 30 page long.
Yeah, my butthole just puckered on that one.
So I had to do 15 essays, minimum 3 pages each. 15. So I did them all in 3 days. And the way that I decided to do that was, I'm just not going to sleep. I'm literally going to stay up and hand them all in on Friday. So I stayed up for 72 hours straight. And what I would do is I would get to college at 8 a.m. I would start writing my essays with all of the, the stacks of shit in front of me or whatever, just in the student center, writing essay, then go to my class, then come back to the student center, write my essays. And I wasn't eating. I was just drinking. I was going down to the cafeteria and buying energy drinks. They had those fruit punch monsters. So I was just drinking those to stay awake. Oof. And for the first 24 hours, I felt okay. I just drank 1. And then the second day was when it started to get rough. So I would have more. And I don't know how many I drank in the course of these 3 days, but I didn't sleep for 72 hours. So the day of, I hadn't considered this. We're supposed to have them all in a big binder, like a binder with them all organized. I didn't have a fucking binder. I went to look in my bag on the day 3. I had 30 minutes to go across the entire campus to bring this to my professor's office, and I haven't fucking slept. I changed my clothes, I had gone home, but I stayed home writing them throughout the entire night, and then just went to school at 8 a.m. in the morning, and then started doing it again. So it didn't occur to me. So I'm like, fuck, I need a binder, and I need to run across campus. So I'm looking in my bag, I was like, well, I'll just rip all the stuff out of one of my things. I was like, no, I can't do that, it'll get, whatever. You want to interject
No, keep
here?
going. I'll just at the end.
Okay. So I had one broken binder. Those shitty plastic ones you'd have in school?
Oh, yeah.
I had one of those that was completely ripped in half. The plastic that was holding it together was broken. So I had a front half with the ring, or the back half with the rings, and then the front half with just the plastic. And I had colored duct tape. One of my friends had colored duct tape. So I taped the binder together, put all my essays in this literally duct taped together, ripped plastic binder with pen scribbles on it. And then I went down to the library and I printed a piece of paper and had it laminated with my name and the class number and shit, and slapped that on the front of it, and then sprint across campus to talk to my professor. So I run into his campus, out of breath, hyped up on Monster, not sleeping for 3 days, with this binder that looked like it came from a dumpster. And I was like, here you go, I have my essays. And he was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He said, I didn't know what to say. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, what is that? Looking at my binder. And I was like, it's a binder. He goes, well, that looks like, an F grade binder. And I was like, so I just looked at him and I didn't even know what else to say. I said, sir, I wrote all 15 of these essays in 3 days. I literally have not slept in 3 days. I have been drinking, I don't know how many Monsters, and I haven't eaten any food. And, like, my hands are shaking from like, I don't know, the running, the Monster, no sleep, no food, whatever. I said, but I built you a binder. That's some A+ effort. And he didn't know what to say. He just laughed. He's like, you need to go to sleep. Like, right now. He's like, I'm going to look at these. I'm not going to mark you off for your binder, because clearly you've gone through something. And I slept for 14 or 15 hours and didn't get up. And I got an A+. He said my essays were phenomenally written, that they were amazing. He's like, but you looked like you were on something, and please never, ever do that again. And it was so horrible. Like, I was delusional. Like, it got to, like, I was, like, not understanding things anymore that people were saying to me. And I had to wait to sleep till I got home, and I slept for so long, and I got up, and I was like, oh my god, I feel amazing. But, like, I was just wired and crazy, like not blinking and shit. Like, you just, weird shit starts to happen to you after that long, and, like, nothing wanted to cooperate anymore.
I hate to break it to you, Erin, but you know how you're that tired and trying to drive? You didn't make it. That's why you're down here with us.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't make it.
Actually died back then.
You didn't make it.
I didn't. I probably did. No, I didn't drive, but my brother actually drove me home because I thought I was going to drive, and he was like, no, I'm actually on my way to get you. You just stay in the student center. So I just sat there looking all crazy until he came to get me.
So 2 things. 1, that wasn't a home-built binder. You actually built the Necronomicon. Like, that's what you handed your professor. And 2, you absolutely reminded me of Cyberblood when we were doing, I think it was like the first or second Extra Life event. And he was up for like some stupid amount of time. Like he worked for like 15 or 16 hours beforehand and then decided to do a 24-hour stream. And he said, yeah, I'm going to be fine. And he started pounding energy drinks. And about, I want to say it was like 18 hours in, 18 or 20 hours in, he all of a sudden, like, we were sitting there because we were trying to keep each other awake. And like, I would jump onto his stream and talk to him, and he would jump onto my stream and talk to me, and then we just jumped in Discord. And we're literally doing 2 different streams, but talking to one another. And all of a sudden, randomly, he just was like, I gotta go. And like, he disappeared. And he drank so many energy drinks that it literally made him nauseous, and he started violently vomiting. And he's just like, I gotta go. I gotta go to bed. I'm like, dude, go to bed. Like, I don't know what you're doing. And he had something like 6 energy drinks in about 5 hours. Like, he was just pounding them. Like, bro, that's not healthy at all.
Inside his guts, he had Scotty going, she can't take much more.
Exactly. Like literally, it was Scotty going, I can't reach the controls, Captain.
Him and I think were probably both lucky because apparently, like, I didn't know this until after, but I don't know what exactly the time frame is, but after being awake for more than 24 hours, people can have auditory and visual, like, hallucinations.
Yes, they can.
And mood, like, extreme mood changes, like angry mood swings, which I did have. I don't remember a lot from, like, after the 24-hour period, like, literally 2 days. I don't really remember a whole lot except for talking to my professor and sitting in the student center. But, like, one of my friends, one of the days, I think it was the second day, I went to her house because I was like, I'm not going to drive. So, like, can I just go to your house? And she was like, sure. So I continued writing her essays at the house, and they didn't have a table or anything. So I was on the floor by the stairs in front of their front door, sitting on the ground with my books on the stairs, so that I had, like, it propped up against something so I could read and write. And then I was like, she's like, you need to go take a nap. And I was like, well, I guess I could take, like, an hour nap. And I went up into her room, and she thought it'd be funny to come up there with a pot and pan and bang them together. And I didn't ever fall asleep because I brought all the shit with me upstairs. Like, I didn't leave it because I was like, oh, I can't leave it on the stairs. So I thought it was a good idea to bring it with me to her bedroom. And I was sitting there still doing it. She came upstairs and was like, bang this pot and pan together, which is really funny. But it, like, made me irate. And I was like, I'm going to kill her. Like, I was so, obviously I wasn't going to kill her. But, like, I was so angry and, like, sleep deprived and crazy and was doing things that didn't make sense. Like, why would I put all my shit on the stairs? And I didn't need to sit in front of the front door. just because they didn't have a table. Like, nothing I was doing made any sense anymore. And she was like, as soon as she came upstairs, like, banging them together, she was singing something. I don't even know what it was, but she was, like, singing. And I, like, jumped off the bed and grabbed I was trying to get the spoon from her because I wanted to, like, hit her with it. And she's like, you are insane. Like, you need to go to bed. And I was like, I can't, the essays aren't done. And she's like, you're gonna die. Like, forget the essays. Like, you're not gonna make it. But, like, yeah, you can have really crazy shit can happen to you if you stay up
with
that
actually
long.
sleep deprivation, it actually can shut your system down and kill you. So it actually eventually will kill you.
It can. It actually, there's been streamers that have done like 24 hours and 36-hour streams, and they've actually like died.
Well, it's medically documented. If you go to a certain, you start hitting that auditory, visual hallucinations, there is actually a point where you will actually die from lack of sleep.
Yeah, I've never done that before or since. I think the most I've ever stayed up since then is like 24 hours or close to 24 hours, but not like, that's not like a thing I've done routinely. I think maybe like once or twice since then, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
For me, it was close to a week.
Like, yeah, it was
close to a week for me.
No. That was enough, dude. You just feel crazy. Like, you can, and because of the energy drinks, like, they can give people jitters and stuff like that anyway, like, even if they just have like one or two.
That's the thing.
So like drinking nothing but that for like 3 days, your body's not working properly, your mind isn't functioning, like, you're useless.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's one of those, hey, I stayed awake for 24 hours. Hey, I stayed awake for 36 hours. Hey, I stayed awake. Like, there's nothing good about any of that. So it's kind of like one of those pissing contests. I endured more than you. No, we're all fucking stupid. We should not have done it. Like, that's the lesson learned right now. We should not have done it.
Yeah, it was horrible. I felt horrible, and people told me that I don't know what crazy looks like from not sleeping, but like my people around me were telling me that I didn't look right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people were starting to avoid me, and like I said, like, I really don't remember a lot after the first day. I remember handing those binders in and telling him, like, oh, I built you a binder, because he told me, like, what the fuck is this? Super unprofessional thing to do in a college setting. But, like, I feel like he was just like, there's something deeply wrong with her. I think she needs some help.
Yeah, she needs some professional help. Have you looked in the mirror lately? You need professional help.
I feel like this is almost the start of one of those, like, horror games, like Seventh Guest. Erin needs help. I mean,
but like, let's address the elephant in the room. Like, we can all get into a pissing contest of, well, I stayed awake for this long. It's all bad. Like, there's just because somebody has suffered more doesn't mean like they haven't suffered. And they, like, that shit shouldn't have happened. I mean, there should have been better communication on, hey, do these essays across this many. You have to get one done per week here. Hand this shit in. Same way with the EMR shit. Like, it should never have broken down to there was one person staying awake for that long to drive the ship because nobody else wanted. There should have been clear cut. Okay, this person's running this shift. This person's running this shift. This person's running this shift. Same way, I mean, the military is notorious for it. Mm-hmm. I've heard so many stories out of the military where people have stayed awake for 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. And literally at the end of it, they just like collapsed.
Yeah.
And they've just been like, oh, don't leave that soldier alone. They've worked for X number of hours. That should never be a thing. And from driving your body that hard, there are health consequences. I mean, my health isn't great. I mean, there are consequences, and it's not pleasant. And not something you should do, and not something that's a badge of honor. It's shitty. Take a nap. Take a vacation. Fuck this.
At least in the two of your cases, like, you ended up doing that stupid shit, but somebody else was supposed to have handled that. Like, this was just my stupidity. I knew that he wanted us to do one of those every week, but I did that thing where I say, I work really well under pressure, which just means, like, I'm giving myself an excuse to procrastinate. And, like, at the end of the day, like, really, honestly, I just got lucky because I don't know how the fuck I finished them, but also that I wasn't writing complete gibberish or drooling on myself.
Sometimes insanity comes with genius. I mean, you know what the difference between insanity and genius is, right?
I'm not sure.
It's the degree of success. If Einstein wasn't successful, he would have been a batshit crazy moron. The difference is he was successful.
So really what I'm hearing is that apparently I'm a friggin' genius, really. This all worked out for the better.
Yeah,
I gotta give you this.
hey, can you help us make the money now? Get to work, genius.
No, not that
Damn it.
kind.
Damn
Not-
it.
So
Not
I gotta,
the super successful
I
kind,
have
the lucky
to. I have to
kind.
give you this, Erin, that you have that much self-awareness is an amazing thing and a refreshing thing because not everybody has that level of self-awareness, and that's awesome that you do.
Yeah, everybody else, it's like, not my fault versus, I did this to myself. Totally me.
Well, no,
Thank you.
no, but I mean that in the most genuine way possible. I hear every day, all day long, and in every job I've been in where people will blame exterior factors because, they made me do this, so I had to do this. And like they'll blame it. Even in my story, I blamed a bit on other people not taking, the reins of where they need to go. But you 100% sat there and said, you know what? This was totally me. I could have stopped this, but I didn't. And I did it this way, and it was all my fault. That level of self-awareness and that level of honesty it's refreshing, and it's not something that I'm used to hearing. So you rock.
Oh, thank you. I guess, so I mean, everybody does, but I have this neat superpower where I, fuck up a lot, really. I just, I just do. I feel like everybody does, but you just get in there with the best of intentions, and then you just fuck shit up. But the thing is I feel like the difference is in whether or not people have a problem with it is how honest you are about your fuck up. Hey, I thought I could handle this, but I was very wrong about that. Or you go into a situation at work or something, somebody's like, hey, can you do this thing? And I feel like a lot of people just be like, yes, because that's what the boss wants to hear. But if I know that I have no fucking idea how to do that thing, I'll just tell them, listen, I would love to do this, but maybe not unsupervised, because I don't know what the fuck is going on. I love
that.
I need to know.
I love that because I am so blunt with people, and I've literally had this conversation with so many different bosses of look, I know my limitations. I know what I can do. I know I'm capable of doing almost anything, but I'm going to tell you flat out, if you're like, hey, go do this, I'm going to be flat out and be like, I can't do that right now. You give me some time, I'll be able to do it. But right now, if you want success, I'm not the guy for that. And I love that there is that much of self-awareness because 99 out of 100 times, people are just going to be, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. And they fuck it up. And then I've got to come back behind them and fix whatever it was.
Did you yell at me?
Did I yell at you? No, I don't think I yelled at you.
All I know that I've learned in life is that you keep extra strength Icy Hot away from your testicles.
Yes. That is lifelong. That is life lesson right there. And you learn from day.
I learned that in the Army the hard way.
So
Did I ever tell that story?
I don't know. Can I tell something unrelated and then we'll go, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just did this, actually. I just started a new job. And it's not... okay, so I'm not going to say exactly, I'm not going to go into details about it, but basically I sell shit now for a living. That's what I do. I sell shit. But it's something that I've never sold before, so I don't know a lot about it. Both the computer systems we're using and the product we're actually selling, there's a lot of shit to learn. And I was lucky that I actually have somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing training me. But our district manager came in, right? And he's somebody that you want to look good in front of. And he was like, hey, I want you to email another super high up person, and you guys are going to work together, and he's going to tell you how to do there's some government sales thing. And I was still learning how to do my regular job at that point. I wasn't even certain how to use our computer system, and he wants me to go in and use go with somebody else super high up that's going to tell me how to use this other system. And he thought I already knew how to do everything. I don't know why he thought that. I don't know who told him that. But he thought I already knew what the fuck was going on and that I could do everything by myself, which is far from the truth. So I said, I would love to work with that guy. I will definitely email him, but I'm not sure if, I'm up to the task of being able to do that right now. And he's like, no, you're fine. You got it. It's fine. Everything's fine. Do it. So then I was like, well, fuck, what do I do? Because I don't want to tell the district manager, hey, I don't know how to do my job. That sucks. So I emailed this other super high up person in the company that I'm supposed to be working with the government sales and told them, I am absolutely thrilled that you want to teach me how to do this. I would love this opportunity. Said, but to be frank with you, I'm still learning I'm learning how to do my job right now. I said, would I be able to get with you at a later date? Maybe, when we have like busy times, and right now we're in the middle of that. So I have a trial by fire situation. Said, when it slows down and we go into our lull in the season, can I email you and get with you then to learn how to do this? I think I'd be in a much better place. And then he emailed me back and told me like, thank you for telling me, because I guess this happens somewhat frequently where somebody will come to work with him and they'll tell their boss that like they're absolutely ready for it. And then when he goes to train them, they have no idea how to use their systems or about what we're actually selling. Like, they just don't know the product. And then he can't teach them, and he gets all pissed off about it. And I guess I'm one of the only people that actually sat down and said, like, hey, I am not ready for this. And, like, that blows my mind, because you can't bullshit your way into knowing how to do this with somebody that knows every aspect of your job. And I was blown away by that.
I like 80% agree with you. There's like, getting a job is a level of bullshit. Like, you bullshit your way into getting in there and then you learn whatever it is. But I 100% agree with you that you can't bullshit somebody who knows how to do your job. 100%. Like you've got to have your head wrapped around you. And that's awesome. And dude, like, sales is like, okay. I've done sales, I've done tech work, I've done consulting work, I've done so many different, like, I've done so much different shit in so many different venues. Sales, by far, is the most difficult job I've ever had. And I give so much props to somebody who can sell something, because there's a level of charisma there that, like, I don't possess. I am a 100% blunt person. If I've got a problem with you, and you can, D can validate this. If I've got a problem with you, I'm going to tell you I have a problem with you. Like, I'm not going to hold it back. Like, if anybody's ever sitting there going, wow, I wonder where I stand with Cecil, you obviously haven't had a conversation with me, because I will tell you exactly where I am. And I'm very transparent. Like,
absolutely.
Like, there's no, like, there might be a little passive aggressiveness there if I'm trying to be kind. Like, I'm trying.
D, you done fucked up. D, you're bullshitting a little bit.
Yeah, like, I'll be like, hey,
D, get your finger out of there.
Yeah, like, I'll be like, hey, D, are you sure that's accurate? Like, that'll be me being nice. But still there is pretty fucking blunt. Anybody who can do sales, I give 100% props, because it is one of the most difficult jobs. Like, hands down.
I don't think I could sell a life vest to somebody that's drowning, to be honest. I'm no good at sales. I can do facts. I can be blunt. I can do like either facts work, but as far as the sales shit and the charisma.
Oh yeah.
Nah.
Like that's,
nah.
Like, I know that if I had to, I could do it. But at the end of the day, I'd be like, I'm sure I pissed somebody off there. I'm not sure who it was, but I'm pretty confident I pissed somebody off there. And normally it would be my boss.
If I was relying on commissions, I'd be starving.
I don't think there's any way to work with customers without pissing them off, though. Like, I mean, yeah, there's like a certain amount of charisma to it, but I feel like a lot of selling is like the necessity aspect. Like, I let the customer talk more, like way more than I talk. And I think that's a mistake a lot of salespeople make, is that they're going to tell me if I ask them exactly what they need. And then it's very easy to sell it to them. So, like, I'll ask them about, like, what they're... Because I don't want to, like, shut up my job or whatever, because this is a pretty non-PC podcast. But, like, they'll come in and they'll be like, hey, I want this. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll ask them a bunch of questions. Like, what is the doodad we sell or whatever? Like, what is the doodad you had before this one? How long have you had it? What do you use it for? And then, after I do all of that, I know exactly what they would need. And then I can tell them what we have to fill that need. Instead of being like, oh, I want to sell you this whatever, or like a pen. I know, like, there's a big salesperson thing. Somebody would be like, here, sell me this pen. And then a lot of people will start telling them shit about the pen. Well, they don't have a fucking pen, and you do, and they need one. Like, that's what you need to do to be a good salesperson. You don't have a pen. I do. You want it. Here you go. I'm not going to tell them about how much better the ink is, or shit about the plastic or whatever. Like, it'll sell itself if you do your job correctly.
Right. right? Well, on that note, we have been sitting here just bullshitting around, and I absolutely fucking love these episodes where we just bullshit around. Like, these are some of the funnest ones, especially since I drank more alcohol tonight than I think I probably should have. But
Cecil, you're lucky you don't have your wallet. You'd probably Amazon and Prime and get a bunch of pens now.
Dude, my wife stole everything, and she, like, logically, she did the best thing possible because I don't remember my password and I haven't logged in on this computer, so I can't go and buy shit. She was way smarter than me on this, so I give her props. But
she's learned from your mistakes.
Man, drinking and priming, it's such a shit. On that
Especially
note,
when you could get some extra strength icy hot.
D, where can people find you at?
People can find me haunting the G.N.A. podcast mostly. I also have my own Microbrew Gamerz with a Z instead of an S on Discord. I've got a website, Microbrew Gamerz with a Z instead of an S.com. I'm going to write some more articles pretty shortly. I've been kind of trying to keep up with that. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Occasionally I pop in. I more or less, rather than post, I just try to watch other people's streams when I have the chance, kind of support the community. And I pop in on Thoughts and Shots every once in a while. Yeah, Dude Gamerz. I know you haven't heard that about them in a while. He moved up to Maine. He messaged me, not too far, not too long ago before. I'm doing good things. So, yeah, most of the social media I'm on. Other than that, I've been kind of just trying to keep up with all the craziness here at the house.
Rock on. Well, Erin the Destroyer, where can people find you at?
Right now, just because I'm working a lot, I'm really only here on the podcast. Actually, this is the first time I've done it since I got the job. So I'm barely here, but I'm trying to be here. I want to be on the G.N.A. podcast regularly again. I'm trying hard.
Well, that's why we switched up the day so that we could accommodate. That's what we do here at G.N.A. We can accommodate. We will. If we can't, well, you know what? Shit happens because weekends work best for us. As I say, me. During the week, I am fucking slammed. But if somebody's like, well, shit, can we record on Thursday? I'll make it happen the best I can. But anyways, I'm Cecil Xavier, your host. You can find me on Cecil vs. Games on Twitter, Cecil Xavier everywhere else. I stream Twitch. No, not I stream. Ustream. Mixer's gone. I am fucked right now.
P-Stream. Whee!
You can find me everywhere. Discord, PlayStation, Steam, Xbox. If I'm not someplace, let me know. I'm actually on Grindr, and no, I'm actually not on Grindr. That's a lie. That's 100% lie. However, I am on Bumble for friend. If you set this for friend thing, not the dating part, but the friend part. I'm on there as Snarf. And I don't know why I did Snarf. Probably because I was looking at a little caricature of Snarf that D sent me at one point in time.
Thundercat's awesome.
No, actually, you didn't send me. My brother, Joe, found that Snarf inside the septic tank from when I flushed it in like 1987. And he found it in the septic tank and he gave it to me.
Hopefully he cleaned it first.
D, you gave me that, which I still have.
Oh, nice. It's Mumra.
I still have that bad boy. But anyways, you can find me all sorts of places. If you can't find me, let me know. I'll jump in there. But pretty much if you look up Cecil Xavier, it's probably me. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Reviews help people find the show, so if you enjoy listening to us, let other people know. You can find us on Podcast Addict, Player FM, Spreaker, MyTuner, Your Listen. Did I say iTunes? I don't know. Google Play Music. I'm probably repeating some shit. iHeartRadio, Spotify. If we're not someplace, let us know. We'll upload there. We're probably already there anyways because we've uploaded in so many different places. Our RSS feed is everywhere like a whore. We partnered with Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle is a game purchasing service with a little bit of a twist. You can donate to charity while you buy games. So it actually works out really well. They've got a Humble Choice thing going on where you subscribe monthly and you get a whole bunch of games. Typically how it works out is you get like one or two really, really great games. And then some other games that are more indie, usually pretty great, but not nearly as like AAA caliber as the like main one or two. But totally check it out. It's really, really fun. If you do, put a question mark partner equals G.N.A podcast at the end of whatever link you have. If there's a question mark in the link, just put partner equals G.N.A podcast at the end. If they find a slider, don't put anything towards the G.N.A podcast. We don't want your money. We just want to know that we sent you there. We check it out every now and then. We haven't really had that many sales, which pretty much tells me either A, people aren't buying games, B, people aren't listening to the podcast, or C, they're listening to the podcast, but they don't have the cash because COVID sucks. Anyway, if you do, check out Humble Bundle before you purchase anywhere else because it does donate to charity. And that's who we support. I feel like I'm forgetting some shit. Oh, fucking website.
Yeah, about to say the website, our shit.
We have a website, www.gnapodcast.com. Go check us out there. We've got several links, some off to our Discord. We actually have our articles link that actually goes directly over to microbrewgamerz.com because we, in some diluted fashion, thought we would write articles, but it just didn't work out. But Microbrew does, so we link you right over there to go check out his shit. Well, thank you both, Erin and Dee, for joining me tonight. I have not had this much to drink in a while and let a bit loose. I drank a lot last night on Thoughts and Shots, but I have drank way more tonight, and it's awesome. And I didn't have to watch a weird movie to do it. So, thank you for joining me. Have a good night.